Well, I thought I'd come on and have a chat about stolen cars and stolen property. Now, if I had a £40,000 car which was smashed up, and I was able to obtain a stolen equivalent car, the same colour, identity, etc., and put the number plates, etc., on that car, then in the eyes of the public driving down the road, it's not a stolen car. So if I sold that car to someone for £20,000, half the market value, and that person knew the history of it, that it was stolen, but it's got legal markers on it, then they was to hold that car and then sell it on to somebody else, and that person bought the car thinking it's a £40,000 car, so they paid $35,000 or whatever for it. They still think they're getting a deal. So that's technically gone from my hands to someone else's hands to someone else's hands. Now, if the person who bought it, say third or fourth person down the line, bought it and it was uncovered that it was a stolen car, then that person who bought that car, third or fourth down the line, would have the car taken off them and they'd lose their money. Now, look at houses. My house. So, my house was registered legal proprietor to Edward Thomas and Anne Nielsen, trustees in bankruptcy. They've got the legal ownership. Bank of Scotland alleged that they had they've got a registered charge at Land Registry, so they had the right to sell it because of the legal charge they had. So they took the house, naming me as the defendant, who didn't have any legal ownership of the property. They got a possession order against me, and I can't give possession of something I've got no legal title to. They've then violently evicted me from the property, and they've sold it under the table for less than half the price. It was in auction, listed for the 13th of February this year, but I've now just had it confirmed that it was sold pre-auction on the 7th of February for $195,000. Now, that person whoever's bought it, what they've bought is a car with no logbook, because it's still registered even now today as being the legal ownership of it is Edward Thomas. So they've sold it to someone who knew what they was buying. That person has then put it straight into auction and it's sold for 338 grand. That person who's bought it, Naylor, I believe, through the documentation that was coming through to the property, I think it's realised it's either A's realised it's hot property, or B is just handling stolen goods and then sold it again. Now, I've had notification at Land Registry that someone's applied to register at the Land Registry. Now, this is where the problem we get is because the House Elite Trust has registered, put in an RX1 for both the properties and UM1's applications, expressing the criminality that's gone on, that the properties have been fraudulently stolen and sold. But we've also got Mazars, Edward Thomas, who's the legal proprietor. Now, my understanding is the only person that can actually sign that house over, the legal ownership of it over, is the person who's got the legal charge, which is Edward Thomas. So whoever's bought it is going to have to get the consent from Edward Thomas to hand over the legal title to the property. The problem is Edward Thomas has been put on notice of the fact that he should have been the named defendant. He's allowed Bank of Scotland to go and take possession of a property naming me as a defendant, which means that whole claim is fraudulent and has got no leg to stand on. So where does this leave everything? Whoever's bought this property alleged property, well, have bought the car with no logbook, they can't get that property registered in their name. That means they've lost their money, or they're going to have to try and claim it back. But this is what the bank's doing. They're fire selling properties off, knowing that they're stolen, knowing they've got no legal right to sell them, and passing them on, because the more hands it goes through, the more it removes them and the liability from them for selling stolen property. It's just like selling stolen cars. The link is just uncanny. And it all goes back to the government, because DVLA register cars and the land registry register property, houses. Do your own due diligence. I'm doing mine. Fat lady ain't singing yet, and everything comes out in the wash. So have a good day.